Yeah, I'm a one of six. I'm the oldest child, which carried wonderful things and challenging things in and of itself. You know, I really believe that everybody, all my siblings, their hearts are in the right places, and they've chosen different ways to express that. So I have a sister, Sharon Wallace, who has been very involved in Middle East peace issues, very involved, has been over there, you know, involved in, been in Gaza and in the occupied territories and all of that, very involved there. She's also been involved in Central America work. She's a teacher. She was teaching at JCTC, and now she is in, I believe she's in North Carolina right now. Mm-hmm. Then my sister Naomi Wallace is a renowned playwright and screenwriter, and she always, I mean, race and economic oppression, gender oppression, sexuality, war are always up in her plays, but she comes at it from a human perspective. So it's not just hitting people over the head with it. It's in a way that really gets people to think about why all our lives are involved with all these pieces. And I was just in New York for something she did around two women in prison, a black woman and a white woman in prison in the 40s and 50s, and the kind of forbiddenness of crossing the racial line or lines of gender, sexuality, all of those things in New York. And she's done pieces here with the Humana Festival, etc. My brother is, you know, I wouldn't call my brother an activist, but his heart is on the right place, and he is very supportive of my mother. My mother does a lot of human rights work. She continues to do, yes. And so he's very supportive of her. And then my sister Sonia is here in Louisville, and I love having her in the city because she's an amazing activist in and of herself. She's also a filmmaker. She has a number of films out also on very critical political issues. She's involved in racial justice work, economic justice work, and she's a poet, a writer, and she does teaching with veterans and with people who are recovering from substance abuse. So she teaches through the VA and juveniles who have been, you know, in trouble with the law and that kind of thing. She uses poetry to help people, you know, be whole. Mm-hmm. And then my youngest sister lives over in the Netherlands. Her name is Leonie, and she is a fierce musician and kind of a holistic healer person who really comes from that place of wanting people to heal their bodies and their spirits, and she's doing that kind of work. And it's a, you know, it's a big family, it's a good family. And
what's it like when you all get together? That would be the question.
Well,
do you all set a time for all these disparate places and
yeah,
interests?
I mean, we've actually, you know, it's interesting. I think a lot of families can understand this, but sometimes when a pivotal person in a family passes, it can cause a lot of stir up in the family. And my father was one of those people who was really kind of a peacemaker in the family. He brought us together. My mother still lives in the Netherlands. But over here, it was around my father that we gathered. And ever since his passing, we've had quite some challenging times in the family, let me just put it that way. So there is some separation in the family right now, and that's hard. And, you know, for me, you know, and this happened probably about a couple of decades ago, but as I got involved in the movement, I really came to believe that my family was bigger than my biological family. And there are people in the movement, and I hope I can say this without people thinking I don't love my family, but who are more my family than my biological family. I mean, when I think of family, I think of civil rights activist Shamika Parrish, and I think of Alice Wade, who passed, and Ann Braden. I think of Bob Cunningham. I think of Maddie Jones, Louis Coleman, you know, George and Jean Edwards, you know, all people who, I think most of them are in the Hall of Fame, and I may have nominated several of them. But like, they are my family, either past, or if they're past, they're still my family, or present, because I find this work challenging, but incredibly inspiring. but part of what keeps me going is that community. I would never claim that I got to this by myself. It has been the experiences and the stories and the encouragement and the pushing and the pulling of other people, and then what it feels like to try to do what is supposedly impossible, which is make change. You know, we're told you can't fight City Hall, you know. Oh, it's no use, there's always been suffering. It's always going to be this way. I don't accept that, and I know a lot of other people that don't accept that, yourself too. You know, I feel like we're all in this effort to make our country and the world a better place.